Hey everyone. Tonight we are pulling a name from one of history's most exclusive and dangerous lists, the people who ruled the world. You're stepping into the 13th century, into the largest contiguous empire that has ever existed. You are standing in the heart of the Mongol Empire, a place so vast it strains your modern imagination, stretching from the frosty tips of Siberia down to the humid jungles of Southeast Asia, from the shores of the Pacific to the gates of Vienna. And right now, in this moment, it is teetering on a knife's edge. It's teetering. The air you're breathing is thick with rumor, fermented mare's milk, and the smell of raw, terrifying opportunity. Let's be honest, given the political climate and the general approach to hygiene and conflict resolution, you probably wouldn't survive this for more than a week. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. As always, go ahead and post your location and what time it is where you are. It's always fascinating to see where everyone is tuning in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You are not a warrior. You are not a general, nor a prince of the blood. You are just nearby. You are a face in the crowd at the Imperial Ordu, the vast, sprawling camp of felt and silk that serves as the mobile capital of the world. The year is 1241, and the Great Khan is dying. His name is Ögedei, and he is the son of the Great Khan himself, Genghis. Ögedei wasn't the most brilliant of Genghis's sons, nor the most brutal, but he was perhaps the most relatable. He was famously good-natured, generous to a fault, and possessed an insatiable appetite for two things: building grand projects and drinking. And tonight, the drinking is winning. You can almost feel the vibration of panic in the frozen ground. The Empire, this unstoppable force that has crushed kingdoms and scattered peoples, is entirely dependent on the lineage of one family. And the head of that family, the man designated as the Oceanic ruler, is currently being pleaded with by his attendants in a yurt a few hundred yards away. You can't see him, but you can picture it. The heavy air, the smell of alcohol, the quiet desperation of his wives and ministers. Ögedei's alcoholism wasn't a secret. It was a state security risk. Mainstream fact. His father, Genghis Khan, had warned him about it, and his own ministers constantly tried to manage his intake. This is the man who inherited the earth, and he's treating it like a college fraternity kegger. It's a bit bleakly funny, isn't it? He's the most powerful man alive, and he can't be trusted near the drinks cabinet. In fact, his brother Chagatai, a real stickler for the rules, had assigned an official to literally count Ögedei's cups of wine per day. Quirky tidbit. This official, a sort of proto-bartender/babysitter, was supposed to limit the Khan's consumption. But Ögedei, being the clever guy he was, simply started using much larger cups. He'd hold up a giant silver bowl and say, "See? Only one? You have to admire the commitment to the loophole. But the joke is over. The cups have gotten too big, the night's too long. He's been on a sustained binge and his body is giving out. The official reports will say he died suddenly. But you, standing here in the cold, you hear the whispers. Was it just the drink? Or was it something more?" Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether his death on December 11, 1241, was purely the result of alcohol-induced organ failure, or if a more human element was involved. Some accounts whisper of poison, a convenient nudge from a rival or a frustrated official tired of watching the empire drink itself into a stupor. Others suggest a stroke, brought on by a final, fatal round of drinking after a hunting trip with a recently defeated rival. You don't know. All you know is that the central pillar of the world has just collapsed. The news spreads not like wildfire, but like a cold front. It seeps into the tents carried by couriers riding exhausted horses. In Persia, in Russia, in northern China, Mongol generals will stop their campaigns, turn their armies around, and begin the long ride home. The Yasa, the great law of Genghis Khan, dictates that all campaigns must halt upon the Great Khan's death. The invasion of Europe, which was rolling towards Vienna, just stops. The knights of Austria, polishing their armor for a final stand, have no idea they've just been saved by a man drinking himself to death thousands of miles away. It's perhaps the most influential hangover in human history. But the real crisis is right here. The throne is empty, and in the Mongol world, power isn't just inherited, it's taken. It has to be confirmed by a Kurultai, a great assembly of all the nobles and generals. Until that happens, there is no leader. There is only a vacuum. You pull your fur-lined cloak tighter. The world's largest empire is now a ship without a rudder, and the storm is just beginning. Everyone is looking at the princes, the sons of Genghis, the great generals. They are looking at the men. No one, absolutely no one, is looking at the woman huddled in the Khan's yurt, the one who is now a widow. No one is looking at Töregene. And that, right there, is the biggest mistake they will ever make. It's the classic never underestimate the quiet one in the room, except this room is a continent-sized empire, and she's about to put it in her pocket. The panic in the imperial camp is a living thing. You see it in the faces of the guards, the couriers frantically riding out, the ministers gathering in tight, whispering knots. The princes, the golden lineage, are the center of all this gravity. Everyone is wondering what they will do. Which of Genghis's grandsons will make a play for the throne? You look past them, past the burly generals and the terrified scribes, to the late Khan's personal yurt. The sound of ritual wailing has already begun. You see Ögedei's widows. There are, of course, several. The most important one, the Great Wife, or Khatun, is a woman named Borachin. By all rights and traditions, if anyone is to act as regent, it should be her. She is the senior wife, the official empress. And then, there's Töregene. You have to ask someone in the crowd who she even is. She's a Khatun, yes, but not the Khatun. She's one of the junior wives. She is standing a bit apart, her face veiled, but you can feel the coiled energy even from a distance. She is not the picture of a grieving widow. She is the picture of someone clocking in for their first day at a new job. To understand why everyone is ignoring her and why they are making a fatal error, you have to rewind. You need to travel back almost 40 years to 1204. The Mongol Empire doesn't exist yet. There is only Temujin, the man who will become Genghis Khan, fighting a brutal civil war to unite the tribes of the steppe. His most formidable rivals are the Naiman, a powerful and sophisticated confederation to the west. The Naiman leader, Töregene Khan, sees Temujin as an upstart, a barbarian. He's wrong. In a decisive battle, Temujin's brilliant, disciplined forces shatter the Naiman army. As with all battles of this time, the aftermath is a division of spoils. The Naiman lands are taken, their warriors are killed or forcibly recruited, and their women are distributed. You watch as the Naiman people are processed like human currency. Among them is a young woman. We don't know her age, her exact family, or what her life was like before this moment. We only know her name, Töregene. Mainstream fact. She is taken as a captive and given as a wife to Temujin's third son, Ögedei. This isn't a romance. It's a political resettlement. She is a prize of war, a symbol of her people's defeat. You can imagine her standing before this new family, the conquerors of her world. Her entire existence has been uprooted. She is now the property of a man she did not choose, in a tribe that just destroyed hers. And it's not even like she's the main wife. Ögedei already has Borachin. Töregene is wife number 2, or maybe number 6, depending on how you count. Her official title is Bekyai, a junior wife. Her job for the next 37 years is to be quiet, manage her own household, and, most importantly, bear sons. She does this dutifully. She gives Ögedei 5 sons, the most famous of whom will be a boy named Guyuk. But she is always the outsider. And here's the quirky part. She's not just an outsider because she's Naiman. Quirky tidbit. Töregene was almost certainly a Christian. Not a Roman Catholic, but a Nestorian Christian, a faith that had spread along the Silk Road and found fertile ground among the tribes of the steppe. This isn't just a fun fact for a trivia night. It's a profound cultural identifier. While the Mongol elite, including her husband, follow Tengrism, the worship of the eternal blue sky, she is praying to a different god. This gives her a different worldview, different connections, and, in the eyes of the Mongol traditionalists, a deep and abiding weirdness. It's like being the only one at a board meeting who insists on communicating via interpretive dance. It sets you apart, and not necessarily in a good way. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene came from a high-status Naiman family or was essentially a commoner. Later chronicles, written when her son was in power, try to polish her CV. They suggest she was a Naiman princess, a noble woman. But the earliest sources are silent, which usually suggests a less than glamorous origin. The truth is likely that she was just a person, a captive from a defeated people. Her entire life has been an exercise in survival, in navigating the treacherous politics of the imperial Ordu from a position of zero power. She has watched her husband, the generous, laughing alcoholic Ögedei, become the great Khan. She has watched the empire swell to an impossible size. She has watched the wealth of China, Persia, and Russia flow into their camps. And she has had to fight for every scrap of influence for her own sons, especially Guyuk, against the sons of the other wives. She's been in the shadows for nearly 4 decades. She has been dismissed, ignored, and underestimated by every single person of consequence. Now, you're back in 1241. Ögedei is cold. The throne is empty. And Töregene, the Naiman captive, the Christian junior wife, the woman from nowhere, is looking at the vacuum. She has no legal right to what she is about to do. The Mongol law, the Yasa, has no provision for her. But she has her sons. She has a lifetime of saved-up ambition, and she has an intimate understanding of exactly how this system works. She is about to step out of the shadows, and the world is not ready. That empty throne is not just a symbol. It's a job. A very, very dangerous job, and right now the position is open. You're standing in the middle of a constitutional crisis that could shatter the world. You see, the Mongol Empire isn't like the European kingdoms you're familiar with, where the king dies and his eldest son is immediately crowned. The king is dead, long live the king, and all that. That's far too simple, too clean. The Mongols have a much more complicated and, frankly, much more chaotic system. It's all based on the great code of law left by Genghis Khan, the Yasa. Mainstream fact. The Yasa states that a new great Khan cannot simply inherit the title. He must be elected, and this election must take place at a grand empire-wide assembly called a Kurultai. This isn't just a suggestion, it's the bedrock of imperial legitimacy. To be the great Khan, the chosen successor of Genghis, you must have the acclamation of your peers. Every major prince of the golden lineage, Genghis's descendants, and every top general has to be there. Now you're standing there in the cold doing the mental math. This is 1241. The empire stretches from the plains of Hungary to the coast of China. Prince Batu, one of the most powerful grandsons, is currently busy sacking cities in what you'd call Russia. Other generals are in Persia, others are in southern China. To call a Kurultai, you have to first tell them. This brings you to the YAM, the imperial messenger system, the 13th century Pony Express on steroids. It's the fastest communication network in the world, a relay of riders that can cover 200 miles a day. But even at that impossible speed, it will take months for the message to reach the edges of the empire. And then, all those princes and generals with their vast armies and baggage trains have to ride back to the homeland in Mongolia. Quirky tidbit. This is the single greatest logistical nightmare in the world. The Yasa effectively has a built-in pause button for the entire planet. When the Khan dies, all active military campaigns are legally required to stop. The generals have to pack up and go home for the meeting. You can just imagine a Mongol general knee-deep in besieging a European castle, getting the little paisa, the official message, and just sighing. Right, lads, pack it up. We've got a 6-month ride home for an election. Yes, I know we almost had them, so you're looking at a delay of at least a year, maybe 2, before a new Khan can be legally chosen. This period, this gap between rulers, is called an interregnum, and it is the single most dangerous time for the empire. With no central authority, the whole thing could just dissolve. Local governors could decide they like being independent. Rival princes could start their own civil wars. This is the power vacuum. It's not a moment. It's a season. And this is where the debate begins. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the Kurultai was a genuine democratic election or a ritualized confirmation. Was it a place of real political debate, where a dark horse candidate could win everyone over with a great speech? Or was it just a rubber stamp, a massive, expensive party where everyone showed up to ritually approve the guy who already had the biggest army and had pre-bribed the most nobles? The evidence, frankly, points both ways. It was a bit of both. A political convention, a family reunion, and a military trade show all rolled into one, fueled by thousands of gallons of fermented mare's milk. You're watching the ministers panic. The law says a Kurultai must be called, but it doesn't say what to do in the meantime. Who holds the imperial seal? Who pays the army? Who decides what to do if the Song dynasty attacks? Traditionally, there's a simple, if unwritten rule. The senior widow, the Great Khatun, takes over as regent. She holds the empire together as a caretaker until the Kurultai can meet and elect the new Khan. She doesn't rule. She just babysits the throne. Everyone, from the lowest scribe to the highest general, turns their gaze to Ögedei's great wife, Barachin. She is the Empress. The regency is hers by right and custom, but a strange silence comes from her yurt. Perhaps she's too deep in grief. Perhaps she has no political ambition. Perhaps, as some murky sources suggest, she died around the same time as Ögedei. We don't know. What we do know is that she does not step up. She does not seize the seal. She does not take control. The throne is empty. The law demands an election that is a year away. The designated regent is absent. The empire is a 100-million-ton boulder perched at the top of a mountain, and the single peg holding it in place has just rotted away. And into this perfect, terrifying silence, Töregene Khatun, the junior wife, the Naiman captive, the Christian outsider, takes one quiet step forward. She sees what no one else does. The rules have failed. And when the rules fail, the game belongs to whoever is boldest. Awaiting continue. The imperial camp is a sea of confused, powerful, and heavily armed men. You watch the Council of Ministers, a mix of Chinese Confucian scholars, Persian administrators, and grizzled Mongol generals, assemble in the main tent. They are the ones who actually ran the empire for Ögedei while he was busy. The most powerful man among them is Yelu Chukai, Ögedei's brilliant and respected chief minister, a man who has been trying to turn this horde of conquerors into a stable, functioning government. They are all looking at each other, waiting for someone to take charge. They talk about the Yasa. They talk about the Kurultai. They talk about sending messengers. They talk about who should be the caretaker. The name of Ögedei's surviving brother is floated. The name of the senior wife, Barachin, is whispered. But again, no one seems to know where she is or what she's doing. The conversation is a perfect circle of bureaucratic indecision. And then, into this tent, steps Töregene. She doesn't burst in. She doesn't yell. You watch her just arrive. She is veiled, flanked by her own attendants and perhaps a few of her son's bodyguards. And she has something in her hand. Or rather, her attendants are carrying a heavy, ornate box. She is the junior wife, the Naiman captive. By tradition, she has no place here. She should be in her ordu, her personal camp, mourning. She should be a political nobody, a trophy wife whose husband has just expired. Mainstream fact. Her gamble is this. She is not just a widow, she is the mother of a potential future Khan. Her eldest son, Guyuk, is a legitimate heir and a powerful general. Töregene steps forward and makes her case, not to the council, but to the idea of the empire. She declares that she will act as regent not for herself but to protect the throne for the eventual election. She is just a humble, grieving widow, a devoted mother, ensuring the empire remains stable until the Kurultai can meet. It's a brilliant move. It's the "I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for the family" play, writ on a continental scale. The council is stunned. Yelu Chukai and the other ministers who value stability and law are horrified. This is not the law. The Yasa has no provision for this. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's regency was a total, unprecedented usurpation, or if she exploited a genuine ambiguity in the Mongol legal code. Did the Yasa truly forbid a junior wife from ruling if the senior wife was absent, and the princes were all thousands of miles away? Or was this a legal black hole she just drove a carriage through? Either way, she's not asking for their permission. She's seizing the physical instruments of power. You watch her go, not to the debating tent, but to the treasury, and more importantly, to the office of the chancellor. She is here for one thing, the imperial seal. Quirky tidbit. The Mongol imperial seal, or tamga, was the master key to the 13th century world. It was a heavy, square stamp, likely made of jade or precious metal, that was pressed onto all official edicts, or yarliks. An order without that red ink stamp was just a suggestion. An order with it was the word of God. It was the physical manifestation of the Khan's power. You couldn't just send an email or a text. The seal was it. It was the two-factor authentication for an entire continent. While the ministers are debating the legality of her move, Töregene's agents, loyal to her, not to the state, secure the seal. It's a checkmate. The ministers can keep talking, they can huff and puff about procedure. But as of this moment, they can't issue an order. They can't pay a soldier. They can't appoint a governor. But Töregene can. You can almost picture Yelu Chukai's face. He's a man who believes in balanced budgets, tax reforms, and bureaucratic procedure. He's basically a 13th century accountant who runs a country. And he is now face to face with a woman who has just walked in, changed all the passwords, and locked him out of the system. It's the ultimate move fast and break things startup culture, applied to an empire. She issues her first orders. She proclaims herself regent. She sends out messengers, her own messengers, not the council's, to the far-flung corners of the empire, bearing her yarlik stamped with her newly acquired seal. The message is simple. The Khan is dead. I am in command until the Kurultai. Send your respects and your taxes to me. She has done it. In a few swift, audacious moves, the woman from nowhere, the captive, the junior wife, has just hijacked the largest empire on Earth. She has defied tradition, law, and the entire imperial council. The gamble is staggering. If it fails, she and her sons will be dealt with. A nice, polite Mongol euphemism for being wrapped in a felt carpet and trampled to death by horses. A bloodless execution fit for a noble. But for now, it's working. The council is powerless. The generals are too far away to stop her. And Töregene Khatun, for the first time in her life, is not a captive. She is the boss. You've got the seal. You've got the power. But in this moment, your power is a very fragile theoretical thing. You're a software developer who has just declared yourself CEO. The board of directors, the ministers, is furious, and the regional VPs, the generals, are all on business trips and haven't gotten the memo yet. Your authority is only as real as the next person who obeys it. The ministers, led by Yelu Chukai, are in a state of quiet procedural apoplexy. They are furious. You've just bypassed a millennium of Confucian administrative tradition and the sacred law of the Yasa. They're probably holding emergency meetings in a yurt somewhere, writing very strongly worded memorandums about it. But a memorandum can't stop a woman who holds the seal. But you, as Töregene, know something these bureaucrats don't. Or rather, something they've chosen to forget. The Mongol Empire was not built on balanced budgets and proper procedure. It was built on loyalty. And loyalty on the steppe is not an abstract concept. It's a tangible exchange. Mainstream fact. The entire social structure of the Mongols, codified by Genghis Khan, was based on a system of personal, almost feudal loyalty, cemented by extravagant generosity. A Noyan, a commander, was loyal to his Khan, and the Khan, in turn, was expected to reward that loyalty with a lavish, constant stream of gifts, plunder, titles, land, and praise. Genghis Khan was a master of this. He shared his food, his horses, and his spoils. A good ruler wasn't one who hoarded. A good ruler was one who was a fire hose of wealth, spraying it over his followers. Ögedei, to his credit, was the same. He was famously generous, often emptying the treasury to pay for a whim or reward a friend, much to the horror of his accountants. He was the fun boss who bought rounds for the whole office. And now he's gone. But his stuff isn't. Töregene, the regent, walks past the state treasury, the building where Yelu Chukai keeps his tax records and budgets. She's not interested in that. That's paper wealth. She goes to the Ordu, to Ögedei's personal storehouses, and you, walking behind her, realize this is the largest pirate chest in the history of the world. It's not just gold bars and silver coins, though there are mountains of those. It's everything. There are storehouses piled to the felt ceiling with bolts of Chinese silk, the primary currency of the Silk Road. There are wagons full of Russian furs, sable, ermine, fox. There are chests of pearls from the Persian Gulf. There are captured artisans, Song Dynasty painters, Khwarezmian weavers, Russian jewelers, who are themselves a form of treasure. And outside, there are the herds, tens of thousands of horses, sheep, and cattle, the true measure of wealth on the steppe. This is Ögedei's personal slush fund, and Töregene has the key. She doesn't wait. She doesn't form a committee. She opens the doors. You watch as she begins to spend, and she is spending with a speed and ferocity that makes Ögedei look like a cheapskate. Couriers on the Yam system are already riding out with her yarliks proclaiming her regency. Now a second wave of riders follows. These riders are heavy. They are leading pack horses, wagons, and herds. A powerful general in Persia, who is maybe thinking, Töregene? Who's that? I'm loyal to the House of Chagatai, suddenly finds a train of 500 camels arriving at his camp. They are laden with silk, gold, and a personal note from the regent, praising his loyalty and sharing her late husband's bounty. A wavering prince on the Russian front, who is a rival to her son Guyuk, receives a gift of 1 Rig-0 horses and 500 captive women. Quirky tidbit. This isn't just bribery, it's a form of political communication. In Mongol culture, refusing a gift from a superior was a profound, catastrophic insult. It was tantamount to a declaration of rebellion. Accepting the gift, on the other hand, was a binding social contract. By accepting Töregene's stuff, the generals are, in a very real way, accepting her. It's the 13th century equivalent of clicking "I agree" on the terms and conditions. You're not going to read all the fine print, you just want the free software. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's legendary profligacy was a sign of shrewd political genius or sheer panicked desperation. Was she strategically cementing loyalty with a proven cultural tool? Or was she just a woman in over her head, throwing the empire's wealth at a problem hoping it would go away? The answer is probably a bit of both. She was in effect running a massive populist campaign. She was making it rain, and in doing so, she was making herself more popular and more real than the abstract, stingy procedures of her rivals. Yelu Chukai and the other ministers are watching their life's work, their attempt to build a stable, taxable, bureaucratic state, being dismantled and mailed out in gift-wrapped packages. To them, this is chaos. It's madness. It's emptying the national bank account to buy yourself friends. But to Töregene, it's survival. She's not buying friends. She's hiring loyalty. She has just put the entire military aristocracy of the Mongol Empire on her personal payroll. The ministers have their rules. She has the cash. And in this moment, cash beats rules. Your campaign of extravagant, treasury-emptying generosity is working. To a point. You're getting nervous messages of thanks from generals who were on the fence. The ministers in the capital are still grumbling about procedure, but they're doing it very, very quietly. Mostly because they like their heads attached to their shoulders. You've used Ögedei's personal slush fund to paper over the immediate crisis, and you're starting to feel a little more secure. You've got the seal, you've got the payroll. What could go wrong? And then you look west, not to Europe, but to the vast territory of the Chagatai Khanate, the heartland of the empire, and you realize that not all opposition is a matter of price. Some opposition is based on principle, some is based on family, and some is based on pure, unadulterated, old-fashioned hatred. You have the Chagatai problem. This isn't a minor bureaucratic headache. This is a 5-alarm existential threat. To understand it, you have to understand who Chagatai was. He wasn't just one of Genghis Khan's sons. He was Ögedei's older brother. And while Ögedei was the nice one, Chagatai was not. Mainstream fact. Chagatai Khan had been appointed by Genghis Khan himself as the keeper of the law, the ultimate enforcer of the Yasa. If the Yasa was the Mongol constitution, Chagatai was its high-stakes, permanently furious Supreme Court. He was a terrifying, rigid traditionalist. He was the one, remember, who had tried to limit Ögedei's drinking, not out of brotherly concern, but because it was disorderly and undignified. He looked at his brother's administration, with its Persian scribes and Chinese tax policies, as a softening, a betrayal of the true, hard, nomadic warrior spirit. He looked at you, Töregene, and he saw everything he despised in one person. You are a junior wife. You are a Naiman from a tribe he helped conquer. You are a Christian, and you have just seized the imperial seal in a move that is so profoundly, fundamentally illegal under the Yasa that it makes his teeth ache. From his Ulas, his territory, in Central Asia, he sends a message. It is not a gift. It is not a question. It is a no. He does not recognize your regency. He declares it an abomination. He is the living embodiment of the law, and he has just declared you an outlaw. Worse, he has the armies and the prestige to back it up. And he announces his support for a different candidate for the throne. Not your son Gyuk, who he thinks is a spoiled, arrogant brat. Not Batu, his nephew in Russia. He supports Temuga, the youngest brother of Genghis Khan himself, the last surviving son of the great conqueror. The empire in this moment has just split in two. The west, under the House of Chagatai, is in open defiance. The east, under your tenuous control, is a patchwork of bought-off generals and terrified ministers. This is the civil war you dreaded. You can't send an army against the keeper of the law. That is the civil war, and you'd lose. You cannot back down, or you are finished. You are in a high-stakes standoff with the most dangerous traditionalist in the world. Quirky tidbit. The feud between the lines of Chagatai and Ögedei wasn't just political, it was famously personal. The Chagataids were known for their legendary short tempers. They were the get-off-my-lawn branch of the golden lineage, and they felt the empire was being ruined by softness. This softness included things like living in houses, using paper money, and not conquering a new country every Tuesday. You to them are the queen of softness. You're staring down this impossible problem, this unmovable object, wondering what your next play is. And then the Yam Riders bring you the most astonishing news of your life. Chagatai is dead. Just like that. In 1242, not long after his brother Ögedei, the great stickler, the keeper of the law, the man who was about to tear your world apart, just dies. The timing is so perfect, so impossibly, laughably convenient, it feels like a personal gift from your god. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Chagatai's death in 1242 was from natural causes or if Töregene had a hand in it. The chronicles are silent, which, as you know, is always suspicious. He was an old man. He was probably under immense stress from his brother's death and your subsequent power grab. Maybe he just had a stroke. But the timing. It's the first in a string of convenient deaths that will happen on your watch. Was it a miracle? Or was it a very quiet, very skilled assassin with a very subtle poison? You, of course, are devastated. You send your deepest, most formal condolences to his grieving family, and then you get to work. The problem isn't gone. Chagatai is dead, but his house, his sons, grandsons, and armies is still there, and they are still furious. The heir is his young grandson, Karahulegu. You can't control him, but you think, maybe you can control his mother. In a move of breathtaking audacity, you, a widow regent, decide to create another one. You issue a yarlik stamped with the imperial seal. You depose the new male Khan, Karahulegu, and you appoint his mother, Ebuskun, as regent of the Chagatai Khanate. You've just tried to create a 13th-century-old girls' club to run the Mongol Empire. It backfires. Spectacularly. The Chagatai generals are horrified. You haven't just broken their laws. You've now insulted their entire lineage, bypassing their chosen male heir for a woman. They reject your appointee. They rally even harder around the young Karahulegu. You haven't solved the Chagatai problem. You've just poured gasoline on it. The entire western half of your empire is now, officially, in open, defiant, and unified rebellion against your authority. You've just made the biggest unforced error of your newfound career as Empress of everything. Your attempt to depose the male heir of the Chagatai line and install his mother has backfired in the most spectacular way possible. You thought you were playing 4D chess, creating a fellow female regent who would be your ally. Instead, you just united the entire famously cranky Chagatai family against you. They now see you not just as an illegal usurper, but as a meddling, insulting tyrant. The entire western half of the empire is, for all intents and purposes, in open rebellion. Your generals, the ones you paid off, are looking at you nervously. The ministers, whom you've ignored, are polishing their "I told you so" speeches. Your power, which felt so absolute when you grabbed the seal, is now resting on a foundation of rapidly drying mud. All of this, all of it, is for one purpose: to get your son Guyuk on the throne. Your entire regency is a placeholder for his reign. He is your champion, your candidate, your entire reason for doing this. So, where is he? You look at the maps. You trace the lines of the Yam system. He is not here in the Mongolian heartland. He is not in China. He is, in fact, on the other side of the known world. Mainstream fact. Guyuk, like most of the important princes, had been on the Great Western Campaign, the one that was supposed to conquer all of Europe. He was a key commander in the army group that smashed its way through Russia and into Hungary and Poland. This is great for his CV. It proves he's not just a pampered prince. He's a true Mongol warrior, a conqueror in his father's mold. When his father Ögedei died, Guyuk was somewhere near the city of Kiev, and by law he was supposed to pack up, turn around, and ride home for the Kurultai. That was in 1241. It's now 1242. The ride is long, yes, but not that long. And Guyuk is still over there. Why? You trace the problem back, and you realize it's not just the Chagatades you have to worry about. You have a Batu problem. And the Batu problem makes the Chagatai problem look like a friendly disagreement over dinner. Batu Khan is also a grandson of Genghis. He is the Khan of the Golden Horde, the leader of the Western Campaign, and arguably the most powerful, competent, and respected general in the entire empire. And he despises your son Guyuk with a hatred so pure it could probably power a small city. This isn't a political disagreement, it's personal. You know the story. Everyone knows the story. It's the most infamous piece of gossip on the steppe, quirky tidbit. At a massive victory banquet after the conquest of the Russian principalities, the princes got drunk. Very, very drunk. Batu, as the senior commander, was presiding. And Guyuk, your arrogant, spoiled, beloved Guyuk, apparently made a toast. He reportedly said that Batu was just an old woman with a quiver and that he, Guyuk, was the real hero of the campaign. To add insult to injury, another prince, a son of Chagatai, chimed in, and they all had a good laugh at Batu's expense. It was the 13th century equivalent of calling your 4-star general a coward on a hot mic at the Super Bowl. Batu didn't just get mad, he went cold. He wrote a letter to your husband Ögedei, detailing the insult. Ögedei, to his credit, was furious, not with Batu but with Guyuk. He recalled his own son, threatening to have him executed for insubordination. He was only talked down by, ironically, you. You pleaded for your son's life. So Guyuk and Batu, the two most powerful candidates for the throne, are already in a state of mutual mortal hatred. Now, you see the problem. The Kurultai is supposed to be a gathering of all the princes. That means Batu and Guyuk have to be in the same tent. This isn't an election, it's a tinderbox. And Guyuk isn't coming home. Why? Because as the messengers dutifully report to you, your son is sick. He's very ill. He has a fever, a cough, something. He's just not well enough to travel. It's very sad. He sends his regrets. He's resting in his Ordu camp, somewhere near the Volga River, just recovering. And here is your stroke of genius. You, as Töregene, seize on this. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Guyuk's illness was a real ailment, a political fiction you created, or simply Guyuk's own excuse to avoid Batu. Was he genuinely ill? Possibly. Was he terrified of facing Batu and the other princes he'd insulted? Almost certainly. Or, was it your idea? You take his sickness and you weaponize it. You send out a new Yarlik with the imperial seal. My dearest, brave son, Guyuk, the hero of the West, is terribly ill from his campaigns. We cannot possibly hold the Kurultai to elect a new great Khan without him, as he is the most obvious and popular candidate. It would be unfair. Therefore I, as regent, will officially postpone the Great Assembly until he is well enough to travel. It's brilliant. You've just given yourself a legal, unassailable, and completely open-ended extension on your regency. How long will it last? Well, how long is Guyuk sick? As long as you need him to be. You can't win a fair election right now. The Chagatai family would vote against you. Batu, with his massive army and prestige, would vote against you and would probably have Guyuk arrested for his past insults. Your candidate would be toast. So, you don't call the election. You delay. You wrap yourself in the cloak of a concerned mother. Oh, I so want to get this over with, but my poor boy is just too sick. We must wait. It's only fair. You have just weaponized a sick note to rule the largest empire in the world, and you're going to ride this excuse for years. You've done it. You've checkmated the entire Mongol political system. By weaponizing your son's sickness, you've given yourself an indefinite extension. The Kurultai is off. The election is postponed. Your regency, which was supposed to be a desperate, temporary measure, is now the new normal. You have time, but you also have no one. You're standing in the imperial Ordu in Karakoram, the grand capital your husband Ögedei started to build. It's a city of felt yurts and, increasingly, of permanent wooden and clay buildings. And you are, by every measure, the most powerful person in it. But you are also completely terrifyingly alone. Let's do a quick relationship status check. The Chagatai family to the west hates you. They are in open rebellion. Batu Khan, the master of the Golden Horde in Russia, hates your son, which means he hates you. He's just waiting you out. The Imperial Council, the men who are supposed to be your administrators, they're a mix of Chinese Confucian scholars and Persian merchants, all led by the old, respected Yelu Chukai. They despise your methods. They see your lavish spending as idiotic and your seizure of power as illegal. They are loyal to the system, and you are breaking that system every day. And the old guard, the Mongol generals, the Noyan, they are warriors. They respect strength and tradition. You are a Naiman Christian junior wife. You are to them the other. You are weakness. You are the regent of the world, and you cannot trust a single person in your government. You need a friend. You need someone who is not part of this old boys' club of ministers and generals. You need someone whose loyalty is 100% to you, not to the Yasa, not to the golden lineage, and not to the state. And you have just the person. You turn away from the council. You ignore the generals, and you call for a woman named Fatima. To the Mongol court, she is less than a nobody. She is in fact a captive, just like you were. Mainstream fact. Fatima was a Persian or Tajik woman, captured during the brutal Mongol invasion of Khwarezmia. She was one of the thousands of spoils of war, taken from a city like Samarkand or Bukhara, a place of high culture, silks and mosques that the Mongols had utterly annihilated. She was brought back to Mongolia, probably as a slave, and ended up in your personal Ordu, your household, as an attendant or lady-in-waiting. She is, in every way, your mirror. You are a Naiman Christian. She is a Persian Muslim. You were both captured. You both had your worlds destroyed by the exact same people you now live among. You are the only two people in the entire capital who are not part of the club. The bond between you isn't just friendship, it's a shared survival pact. You trust her because her survival is, and always has been, completely tied to your survival. And now that you are the regent, you don't just promote her, you unleash her. You, Töregene, effectively make Fatima the most powerful person in the empire besides yourself. She becomes your gatekeeper, your confidant, your enforcer, and your chief minister, all rolled into one. The entire, complex, grizzled bureaucracy of the Mongol Empire is now bypassed. You want a meeting with the great regent Töregene? You have to talk to Fatima first. You need a jarlik signed, a governorship appointed, a tax break approved. You have to go through Fatima. And Fatima, it seems, is very appreciative of gifts from loyal officials. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue fiercely about Fatima's true role. Was she a power-hungry, manipulative courtier who saw her chance and bled the empire dry, as the later male Persian chroniclers like Juvaini insist? Or was she a genuinely capable administrator, the only one Töregene could trust, who was ruthlessly smeared by her rivals precisely because she was a foreign woman holding power. The truth is almost certainly a mix. She was probably loyal to Töregene, and she was definitely enjoying the perks of her new job. But here's the part that really terrifies the old guard. Quirky tidbit. According to some sources, Fatima wasn't just an administrator, she was a mystic. She was a Sufi, or perhaps just a wise woman, who practiced dream interpretation and, according to her enemies, sorcery. She was Töregene's personal spiritual advisor. So, in the eyes of the Mongol traditionalists, the situation is this. The empire is being run by a foreign Christian woman, who is taking all her advice from a foreign Muslim witch. It's like finding out the president is making all national security decisions based on the advice of their personal astrologer. The court is now gripped by paranoia. Fatima doesn't care. She and Töregene are a team. They are the outsiders, and now they are in charge. And their first order of business is cleaning house. Yelu Chukai, the wise old minister, he's sidelined. The other officials who've been grumbling about procedure, they're fired. Or worse, Fatima's power is absolute. And with this new, unassailable enforcer at your side, you are no longer just postponing the Kurultai. You are actively remaking the empire in your own image, and the first thing you need to fund your friends and pay for this new administration is money. Lots and lots of money. You've got your enforcer. Fatima, your fellow outsider, is your shield, your gatekeeper, and your eyes and ears. She has the capital, Karakorum, locked down. The paranoia in the court is so thick you could cut it with a saber, which is exactly how you like it. An off-balance court is a court that's too busy watching its own back to challenge you. But Fatima, for all her skills, can't solve your primary problem. Your power is built on a simple, incredibly expensive foundation. Bribery. That steady stream of gifts, the silks, the horses, the gold, the furs, that you've been sending to the generals in Persia and the princes in Russia, is not a one-time purchase. It's a subscription model. And the moment you stop paying, the service gets canceled. And canceled in the 13th century means a civil war and a very unpleasant, carpet-wrapped death for you and your sons. You need money. You need a river of it. Not the slow, respectable trickle that the old minister Yelu Chukai was cultivating. You need a flash flood of cash, and you need it now. Yelu Chukai's entire philosophy was based on the long game, mainstream fact. As a Confucian-trained administrator, he had convinced Ögedei to implement a low, fixed, predictable tax system. His motto was essentially, "Don't kill the peasant who lays the golden eggs." If you let the farmers and artisans in conquered lands like North China recover, they would be more productive. A more productive population would generate more, sustainable tax revenue over decades. It was smart, stable, and completely useless to you. You don't have decades. You have maybe until Tuesday. The long game is a luxury for legitimate rulers. You are a usurper running on a prayer and a payroll. You look at Yelu Chukai, the wise old man who practically built the civilian government, and you see a bottleneck. He and his entire staff of dusty scroll-counting bureaucrats are fired. Or more politely, they retire in a cloud of profound existential despair. Yelu Chukai himself, seeing his life's work about to be torched, dies in 1244, supposedly of a broken heart. It's one less obstacle. Now you need his replacement. And you're not looking in the halls of government. You're looking in the marketplace. You summon a man named Abdal Rahman. He is in every way the anti-Yelu Chukai. He's not a philosopher scholar. He's not a Mongol. He's a Muslim merchant from the Khwarezmian Empire, a businessman who made his fortune on the Silk Road. He sees the empire not as a sacred trust or a political entity, but as the single greatest business opportunity in human history. And he has a proposal for you. He says, "My lady regent, this system of collecting taxes is slow, it's inefficient. You have to hire thousands of annoying, corrupt scribes. Why are we doing this? Let's sell it." He introduces you to the concept of tax farming. Quirky tidbit. This isn't a farm with taxes. It's a system where the state outsources its entire revenue collection. Instead of the government hoping to collect 1 million silver coins from North China, Abdal Rahman guarantees you that money. He walks into your treasury, pays you a massive, agreed-upon lump sum up front, and in exchange, you give him a piece of paper. That paper, stamped with your imperial seal, gives him the right to be the sole tax collector for North China for the next year. For you, it's the greatest deal ever. You get your money now. All of it. In one big, beautiful, shiny pile. No risk, no bureaucracy, no waiting. It's instant liquid cash. You can take that pile of silver, divide it up, and send it straight to the generals who are starting to look a little disloyal. For Abd al-Rahman, it's an even better deal. He's just bought a license to hunt. He now travels to North China with his own team of accountants, who look suspiciously like mercenaries, and his contract. He promised you 1 million. He is now legally entitled to collect, well, whatever he can get. 1.2 million? 1.5 million? 2 million? The difference is his profit. You have just turned the entire tax system into a high-stakes winner-take-all commission gig, and Abd al-Rahman is the star employee. He is ruthless, he is efficient, and he is hated. He bleeds the provinces dry. The common people, who were just starting to recover under Yelu Chukai's stable rates, are now being shaken down by a private contractor with the full backing of the state. The chronicles written by his victims paint him as a monster, a demon who drank the people's blood. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's adoption of tax farming was a catastrophic, greedy blunder or a move of political necessity. Was she knowingly destroying the empire's long-term economic health for a short-term cash grab? Or was this the only financial instrument available to a desperate, unrecognized regent to raise the money she needed right now to prevent a total civil war? You, as Töregene, don't have time for this debate. You're in your tent in Karakoram, and Abd al-Rahman has just made it rain silver. Fatima is handling the political threats. Abd al-Rahman is handling the money. You have just created a new parallel government, one that is loyal only to you. The machine is built. You're not just a regent anymore. You're the CEO of a company you've just hostilely restructured. Fatima is your COO, handling personnel with a terrifying paranoid efficiency. Abd al-Rahman is your CFO, and he's just liquidated the company's long-term assets for a massive immediate cash payout. The old board of directors, Yelu Chukai and his ministers, have all retired or died of heartbreak. The office is now yours. So what do? You redecorate. And in this case, redecorating means systematically dismantling every single thing your late husband, Ögedei, was trying to build. You have to understand Ögedei, for all his drinking, had a vision. His father, Genghis, had conquered the world. Ögedei's job was to figure out how to run it, and his vision, guided by Yelu Chukai, was stability. It was, in a very real sense, a bit boring. Mainstream fact. Ögedei's great project was the centralization of the empire. He was the first great Khan to try and build a permanent fixed capital, Karakoram. He wanted to change the empire from a nomadic war camp into a state. He set up a fixed bureaucracy, a postal service, the yam, and a, mostly, stable tax code. He was trying to build an institution that would outlive him. And you, as Töregene, look at this institution and you see the single greatest threat to your power. An institution has rules. A bureaucracy has loyalty to procedure and the law. A state doesn't care who is in charge as long as the paperwork is filed. And you are a ruler who has no procedure, who broke the law and who has no patience for paperwork. So you begin to reverse it all. You're watching as Ögedei's rules are just erased. The power of the empire is no longer located in the new, permanent buildings of Karakoram. It is no longer in the hands of the Chinese scribes, the Persian ministers, or the Mongol daragachi, governors. It is once again located in a person. It's in your yurt. It's in your personal ordu, camp. You've renomadized the government. You want a decision made? You don't petition the Ministry of Finance. You bring a very, very nice gift to Fatima's tent and hope she mentions it to the great regent. Ögedei's administration was separating power. Yelu Chukai for finance, other ministers for justice, others for the army. You reverse this. You consolidate it. All power now flows directly to you, and you delegate it not to the most competent person, but to the most loyal. And that brings you to the merchants. Quirky tidbit. Ögedei had set up a system of ortak, or state-sponsored merchant partners. These were essentially the venture capitalists of the Silk Road. The Khan's treasury would back a merchant caravan, usually Muslim or Uyghur, giving them a massive interest-free loan. The merchant would go trade, and the profits would be split between him and the Khan. It was a brilliant way to use state funds to fuel the economy. You look at this system and you think profits, economy, that's nice, but what about my profits? Under your rule, the Ortok system is transformed. It's no longer about state building, it's about personal patronage. You and Fatima start directing these massive state-backed loans and trade monopolies not to the most proven merchants, but to the ones who pay you the biggest finder's fee. Abd al-Rahman, your tax farmer, is almost certainly one of them. You have, in effect, privatized the state treasury for your own personal enrichment and to fund your network of spies and loyalists. The old guard is watching this with absolute horror. You're not just spending the empire's wealth, you're dismantling the very systems that create the wealth. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's reversal of Ögedei's policies was a deliberate ideological shift back to nomadic tradition or simply a practical means of survival. Was she a steppe traditionalist who hated cities and bureaucrats? Or did she just realize that a centralized bureaucracy, like Yeluchukai's, was a threat to her because its loyalty was to the state, whereas personal favorites were loyal only to her? It's most likely the latter. You are a usurper. A centralized, lawful state is your natural enemy. A chaotic, personality-driven court, where you are the supreme personality. That is your playground. The empire is now a vast, sprawling entity, but all the strings are pulled from a single tent, a tent guarded by Fatima, funded by Abd al-Rahman and ruled by you. You've reversed your husband's legacy, turned his stable state into your personal ATM, and locked down the capital. There is only one set of rules left to defy, and it's the big one, the sacred one. You're not just rewriting Ögedei's rules. You're about to take a pen to the Yasa, the great law of Genghis Khan himself. The silence is unsettling. You're standing in the heart of Karakorum, and for the first time since Ögedei's death, things are calm. The cash from Abd al-Rahman's brutal tax farming is flowing in, funding your patronage network. The gifts are on their way to the generals. Fatima has the court locked down. The whispers against you are now just that. Whispers spoken in the deepest recesses of yurts, by people who are terrified of their own shadows. Your son Guyuk is still sick. Your excuse for delaying the election is holding, and the Chagatai rebels are for now staying in their own territory, grumbling but not invading. You've won. You've stabilized the ship. But then one evening you're walking through the camp. You see an old Noyan, a general from Genghis's day, his face like a leather map. He's not looking at you. He's looking at the threshold of your yurt, where a foreign merchant just walked over it instead of carefully stepping around it. You see the old general flinch, a tiny, almost imperceptible spasm of pure physical disgust. And in that flinch, you understand. You've solved the political problem, the financial problem, and the military problem, but you've just created a spiritual one, and it's a chasm that is opening up right under your feet. You are at war with the Yasa. The Yasa is not just a book of laws. Mainstream fact, the Yasa, or Great Law of Genghis Khan, was the sacred foundational code that governed every aspect of Mongol life. It was a military code, a civil code, and a religious text all in one. It defined what it meant to be a Mongol. It wasn't written down for the public. It was a set of sacred traditions and edicts kept by the royal house. It governed war, peace, inheritance, and the organization of the entire empire. And its ultimate guardian was the Great Khan, or in this case, the regent. And you are violating it, publicly, joyfully, and constantly. Your regency itself is the first unforgivable sin. The law had a clear, if unwritten, line of succession. This wasn't it. Your indefinite postponement of the Kurultai is a second. The Yasa demanded the election of a new Khan. You are denying the empire its head, its center, its connection to the eternal blue sky, Tengri. And then there are the small things, which are not small at all. Quirky tidbit. The Yasa was famously specific about certain taboos, many rooted in shamanistic beliefs. For example, it was forbidden to urinate in a river or spring, or even to wash clothes in running water for fear of angering the water spirits. It was forbidden to step on the threshold of a yurt, as that was the home of its guardian spirit. The punishment for many of these things was death. To the old guard, these laws are what separate them from the soft, sedentary peoples they've conquered. And your new administration, run by foreigners, is trampling on these taboos every single day. Your man Abd al-Rahman, a Muslim, is almost certainly washing before prayer in a way that the traditionalists find offensive. Fatima, a Persian, doesn't understand the complex rules of the yurt. Your court is becoming un-Mongol. You are polluting the sacred heart of the empire, scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the Yasa was ever a single written book or a constantly evolving set of customary laws and royal decrees. Was Töregene breaking a constitution, or was she just on the losing side of a cultural argument? The men who wrote the histories after she was gone, like the Persian chronicler Juvaini, painted her as a heretic, a monster who defiled the sacred law. Her, now silent supporters, might have argued she was simply adapting the law to an unprecedented new reality. But the real tangible break comes with your purges. You look at the old grizzled officials who served Ögedei. They are the ones who know the Yasa. They are the ones who keep whispering, "This is not the way." They are loyal to the law, not to you. They are a threat. You and Fatima decide to clean house, and you do it by accusing them, not of disloyalty, but of breaking the Yasa themselves, specifically by practicing black magic. This is the nuclear option. One of Ögedei's most trusted officials, a man named Chinkai, a Nestorian Christian like yourself, is suddenly accused of sorcery. He's not the only one. Rivals, ministers, anyone who smells of the old ways is suddenly being arrested on your authority. You are using the Yasa's spiritual prohibitions against its own defenders. You have bent the law so far it's now a circle. You, the illegal regent, are arresting legitimate officials for illegitimate spiritual crimes. The tension in the camp is no longer just political, it's cosmic. The old shamans, the Bokis, are watching you. They see the foreigners in power. They see the sacred laws being ignored. They see the rightful heirs, Batu, the Chagataids, being snubbed. The empire, they whisper, is losing its connection to Tengri, the eternal blue sky. The good fortune of the Mongol people, their kishig, is fading, and it's your fault. You can buy off a general. You can silence a minister. But how do you buy off a god? How do you silence the growing, terrifying feeling in the gut of every traditional Mongol warrior that the empire has gone deeply, spiritually wrong? You can't. All you can do is look for the man who embodies this tradition, the man who represents the Yasa more than anyone else alive. The man who is at this very moment refusing to answer your summons. The most dangerous man in the empire, Batu Khan. You are an empress, but you feel like a plate spinner at a rowdy wedding. You've got the Chagatai plate wobbling dangerously in the west, threatening to fly off the handle. You've got the finance plate spinning only because Abd al-Rahman is frantically squeezing the life out of the commoners to keep it moving. You've got the court paranoia plate, which Fatima is managing by simply smashing any other plate that gets too close. And then there's the Batu plate. It's not wobbling, it's not spinning. It's a 500-pound slab of solid granite, and it's sitting on the other end of a seesaw. And you're on this end, legs dangling, unable to make it budge an inch. Batu Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan of the Golden Horde, ruler of the Western Ulis, is the most dangerous man alive. And he hates you. This isn't the theatrical, angry, shouting hatred of the Chagataids. This is a cold, patient, absolute contempt. It aims the hatred of a man who feels he is the last sane person in a world gone mad. To understand Batu, you have to understand his father, Yochi. Mainstream fact, Yoki was Genghis Khan's firstborn son, but his paternity was forever clouded in suspicion. He was born shortly after his mother, Berta, was rescued from a rival tribe, and Genghis's other sons never, ever let Yoki forget it. Chagatai in particular famously called him a bastard in open court. This stain on his lineage meant that Yoki's descendants, including Batu, were always on the defensive, always needing to be more Mongol, more correct and more powerful than anyone else. And Batu is powerful. He is the senior prince of the entire golden lineage. He was the supreme commander of the Great Western Campaign that annihilated Russia and was about to swallow Europe. His army is the most seasoned, most brutal, and most loyal fighting force on the planet. And he is a true hardline traditionalist. He is the living embodiment of the Yasa you are trampling on every day. He looks at your court, and he sees a circus. He sees a Naiman Christian, you. He sees a Persian witch, Fatima. He sees a Khwarezmian merchant, Abd al-Rahman, running the treasury. He sees an illegal regent who has seized power in a coup. And most of all, he sees your son Guyuk, the man who called him an old woman in a tent full of soldiers. To Batu, Guyuk isn't just a rival. He's a symptom of the rot, the softness, the decadence that your administration represents. So, what does he do? Nothing. And it's the most terrifying nothing in history. You've sent him Jarlocks, edicts stamped with the imperial seal, inviting him, nay, summoning him to the Kurultai. You need him. You cannot by law hold a legitimate election for Great Khan without the presence of the senior prince. Batu sends a very polite reply. So sorry, Great Regent, it basically says. The ride is so long, and my gout is acting up. He's playing your own game back at you. You have a sick son who can't travel home for the election. Well, he has a sick self who can't travel to the election. He has just single-handedly given you a taste of your own medicine, and in doing so, he has stalemated the entire empire. He has settled into his massive, sprawling camp on the banks of the Volga River, a place that will become the capital of Sarai. Quirky tidbit. Batu's personal ordu was not just a camp. It was a mobile metropolis, a city of felt and silk that took up miles of the steppe, and he almost never left it. He was an emperor in a tent, and from this tent he simply refuses to acknowledge your authority. He doesn't declare war. He doesn't need to. He just waits. He is waiting for your plate-spinning act to fail. He knows your cash burn is unsustainable. He knows the other princes are getting restless. He knows that by simply staying put, he is delegitimizing your entire reign. Every day that he refuses to come to Karakoram is another day the world sees you as a fraud. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Batu Khan ever genuinely intended to make a bid for the great Khanate himself. Was this whole standoff a prelude to his own coup? Or was he a pragmatist who knew his own clouded Joshid lineage made him a long shot? Perhaps he was simply carving out his own empire and independent state, and using your chaos as a get-out-of-jail-free card to break the Golden Horde away from the central government. You don't know his motive. All you know is that you are stuck. You cannot hold the Kurultai without him. You cannot force him to come. You cannot elect your son. Your entire regency, which you thought you'd stabilized, is now hostage to the whims of a man with a bad attitude and, supposedly, a sore foot, sitting in a tent 5,000 miles away. You can't go forward. You can't go back. You are trapped. All you can do is what you've been doing. You just have to get better at it. You have to delay and delay and delay. You are stuck. Utterly, completely, royally stuck. The year is 1242, and the engine of the empire has seized. Your son Guyuk is sick on one side of the world. Batu Khan, the senior prince, is sick on the other. And you, Töregene, are stuck in the middle, in the capital, with an imperial seal and an election you cannot legally hold. This is a crisis. A normal person would panic, try to force the issue, send an army, or give up. But you are not a normal person. You are a survivor, and you see this stalemate not as a prison, but as an opportunity. You have just been handed the perfect ironclad, copper-bottomed excuse to do nothing. And nothing in this case means everything. Your regency is no longer a temporary, year-long affair. It is now an indefinite term. The Kurultai isn't cancelled. Oh heavens no, it's just postponed. Indefinitely. And you now settle into rule. How do you pull this off? How do you keep the most powerful, violent, and impatient men in the world at bay for 5 straight years? First, you become the most prolific, annoying, and by-the-book administrator in history. You weaponize the yam, mainstream fact. You use the imperial postal system, the yam, to flood the empire with constant, official-sounding jarlocks, edicts. You are, in effect, spamming the global elite of the 13th century. You send a yarlik to Batu. My dearest nephew, just checking in. How is the gout? We are all so concerned. The Kurultai awaits your recovery. Please let us know the moment you feel well enough to travel. P.S. Your taxes are due. You send a yarlik to the Chagatai princes. To the glorious house of Chagatai, we are all so eager for the great assembly. But, as you know, Prince Batu is unwell, and my own son, Guyuk, is still frail from his heroic campaigns. We must all wait for them, as is only right and lawful according to the Yasa. P.S. Abd al-Rahman will be arriving to collect your taxes. It's brilliant. You are using the Yasa you've been breaking. You are taking the law that says all princes must attend and turning it into a shield. You are following the rules so hard that it prevents the rules from ever being fulfilled. You've created the ultimate bureaucratic catch-22, quirky tidbit. You also embark on a massive, highly visible, and very expensive public relations campaign. What do legitimate rulers do? They build things. So you start building. You take your late husband's pet project, the capital city of Karakoram, and you pour money into it. You commission a grand new palace. You patronize Buddhist temples, Muslim mosques, and of course a Nestorian Christian church or two. A little something for yourself. It's the 13th century version of Infrastructure Week. It's a perfect distraction. How can anyone say you're not a good, stable ruler? Look at the cranes, look at the new walls. You can't possibly hold a Kurultai now. The city is a mess. The guest quarters are still under construction. We have to wait until the new reception hall is finished. It's a way of looking incredibly busy, incredibly regal, and incredibly permanent, all while you are in fact just stalling for time, or scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's 5-year delay was a single, long-term defensive strategy, or if she was just a brilliant opportunist, making it up as she went along. Was this all part of a master plan to wait until her enemies died, like Chagatai, or her allies grew stronger? Or was she, as some chronicles suggest, simply enjoying herself? Did she like being the great regent? Did she realize that the moment the Kurultai met and elected Guyuk, her power would be over? She would go from being the most powerful woman in the world back to being a Khan's mother. Maybe this postponement wasn't just for Guyuk's sake. Maybe it was for hers. The years begin to blur. 1242 becomes 1243. 1243 becomes 1244. 1244 becomes 1245. An entire generation of children is growing up in the empire who has only ever known her as the supreme ruler. She is no longer the caretaker. She is the boss. This is your new normal. You have turned an interregnum, a gap, into a system. You have created a parallel government run by Fatima and funded by Abd al-Rahman, and you have protected it with an impenetrable wall of procedural red tape. The whole world is now forced to play your waiting game, and they hate it. But they have no choice. The law is the law, right? And the law says, we have to wait for Batu's gout to get better. The Great Kurultai is postponed indefinitely. The empire is holding its breath. But you in your yurt in Karakoram are not. You can't. An empire of this size isn't a machine you can just switch off. It's a garden. And the moment you stop pulling weeds, the entire thing gets reclaimed by the jungle. The Chagatides will declare independence. The generals in Persia will start minting their own coins. The Golden Horde, well, Batu is already doing his own thing. If you are going to rule, you have to rule. And you can't be everywhere at once. So, you create a system that can. You have to be in Karakoram, in Moscow, in Samarkand, and in Beijing, all at the same time. You need to project your will, to make a prince in Russia feel your gaze on the back of his neck. And you have the perfect tool to do it. It's not an army, it's the YAM. Mainstream fact. The YAM was the Mongol imperial postal system, the most sophisticated and efficient communication network in the pre-modern world. It was Genghis Khan's logistical masterpiece. Dotted every 20 or 30 miles across the entire empire, from Poland to the Pacific, was a relay station. These stations were stocked with fresh horses, food, and sleeping quarters. An imperial messenger, an ullah, could ride in at a full gallop on a half-dead horse, and a fresh one would be saddled and waiting. He'd grab a bite to eat, a gulp of fermented milk, and be back on the road in minutes. They rode day and night in all weather. They could cover 200, even 300 miles in a single 24-hour period. It was the 13th century internet, and it was fast. You, as Töregene, seize control of this system. It is your personal nervous system, the web that connects your brain, your yurt, to every fingertip of the empire. And the messages you send down these nerves are your yarliks, your edicts, stamped with the imperial seal. But who carries them? You don't trust the old messengers, the Noyans men. You create your own. You send out your envoys. And these men aren't just mail carriers. They are, in a very real sense, you. To make sure everyone understands this, you give them a special gift. Quirky tidbit. You give them a paisa, the ultimate 13th century VIP pass. A paisa was a small, heavy tablet, a medallion made of wood, silver, or, for your most trusted envoys, solid gold. It was engraved with a decree, often of a tiger or a gerfalcon, and stamped with your authority. It was the original get-out-of-jail-free card. An envoy carrying your paisa could demand anything. He could walk into a village and demand the 100 finest horses. He could enter a governor's palace and demand the best food, wine, and women. He could stop a general and his army and demand supplies. And no one could say no. To question the paisa was to question you. To refuse its bearer was treason, punishable by immediate, inventive death. So you are now sitting in Karakoram writing. You're not just sending notes to Batu about his gout. You are firing people, by mail. A governor in North China, one of Ögedei's old appointments, is grumbling. He's been complaining about your new tax farmer, Abd al-Rahman. So you dispatch an envoy on a 2,000-mile ride. This envoy, a man who owes his entire career to Fatima, walks into the governor's palace, flashes a golden paisa, and hands him a scroll. The scroll says, "You're fired. This envoy is your new boss. A prince in Persia is forgetting to send his tribute." An envoy shows up, not with an army, but with a paisa and a yarlik. The yarlik says, "The great regent is concerned. She has sent me to personally escort your tribute back to Karakoram." This is how you rule. It's a vast, sprawling, chaotic web of personal representatives, all armed with your authority, all crisscrossing the continent at high speed. It's a system built on pure, unadulterated terror and awe. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's rule by envoy was a sign of brilliant centralized control or a symptom of total fragmentation. Was this a functioning government, or was it just a desperate, chaotic illusion of power? On one hand, she was micromanaging an entire world, firing and hiring at will. On the other, what happened when the envoy was 2,000 miles away? What was to stop a local governor from simply accidentally having your envoy fall off his horse into a ravine, and then sending you a very sad note of condolence? The answer is probably both. The system was falling apart. The Yam stations themselves were being abused, with paisa holding freeloaders, like Abd al-Rahman's tax collectors, using them as a personal taxi service, exhausting the horses and impoverishing the locals who had to supply them. The empire was groaning under the weight of this ad hoc, terrifying, and deeply personal system of rule. It was not sustainable. But it didn't have to be. It just had to work. And it was working. For you. The wealth, the reports, the prisoners, all of it was flowing back to the Ordu in Karakoram. The web was holding. And you, the spider, were sitting right in the center. You are no longer on the road with a messenger. You have arrived. You are in Karakoram, the capital of the world. And your first thought is, this is it? This is not Rome. It's not Constantinople. It's not the grand, ancient, 1,000-year-old cities of China. You're standing on a windswept, high-altitude plain in the middle of nowhere. Mongolia. The city before you is a sprawling, chaotic, dusty, and vibrant mess. It's a boomtown. Mainstream fact, Ögedei had designated Karakoram as the first fixed capital of the Mongol Empire, and you are standing in the middle of his great construction project. A low earthen wall surrounds a vast district of yurts. Thousands and thousands of them, the felt cities of the nomadic elite. But rising from this sea of felt are the permanent buildings you've been funding. You see the wooden frames of palaces, the clay walls of merchant storehouses. You see the spires of a Buddhist temple, the minaret of a mosque, and the cross of a Nestorian Christian church, all within a few hundred yards of each other. This is the central hub of the Yam, the final destination for the Silk Road. The city is choking on its own success. You can't move for the traffic. You smell roasting mutton, camel dung, incense from the temples, and the unwashed BO of 1,000 different nationalities. You see Chinese silk merchants arguing with Persian moneylenders. You see Russian fur traders, Hungarian slaves, and captured French artisans. You see 1,000 different gods being worshipped, 100 different languages being spoken. It is the most cosmopolitan, confusing, and vibrant place on planet Earth. And it is all fueled by your money and defined by your unique style of management. You walk past the bustling marketplaces, which are running 24/7. You walk past the construction sites of the new palace, which, as you know, is a very important project that's helping you delay the Kurultai. You are headed for the center of the city, but the center of Karakoram isn't a building. It's your yurt. As you get closer to the Imperial Ordu, your personal, mobile, and heavily guarded camp within the city, the vibe changes. The happy-go-lucky chaos of the marketplace just stops. The air gets thin. The laughter dies. The guards here aren't just for show. They are your personal kishig, your Praetorian Guard. And they all report to one person, Fatima. This is the heart of the paranoia. This is where the real power lives. You've created a bubble, a court that exists in a parallel reality. Inside this bubble, you are not a temporary regent. You are the great Khatun, the oceanic ruler. Your word is law. But this law is strange, quirky tidbit. Later visitors would describe the Mongol court as a place of almost unimaginable, constant, and chaotic public drunkenness. While your husband Ögedei was the champion, you've kept the tradition alive. Your court is one endless, lavish party. This isn't just for fun, it's a political tool. You are spending, projecting an image of such overwhelming wealth and generosity that it must be legitimate. You are holding all-night feasts, giving away silks and gold by the cartload. But it's a party where everyone is smiling and holding a knife behind their back. You, as a visitor, have to navigate this. You have to bribe the right guard to get into the outer yurt. You have to give a gift, a massive gift, to one of Fatima's attendants to even be noticed. You wait for hours, days, in an antechamber, watching people go in and out. You see Abdul Rahman, the tax farmer, walk in, looking smug. He's family now. You see a Mongol general, his face like stone, walk out, looking pale. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's court was a hotbed of genuine, widespread corruption, or if these are just the smears of her political enemies. The main source for this period, the historian Juveni, was writing for your enemies, the Toluids, who would eventually overthrow your son. He paints you, Fatima and Abdul Rahman, as a coven of ghouls, bleeding the empire dry. And maybe you were. Or maybe you were just new. You were a new money government of outsiders, and the old money aristocracy, the Mongol generals, hated you for it. You are finally granted an audience. You are brought before Fatima. She is veiled, mysterious. She asks you a few quiet questions. She knows things she cannot possibly know. She knows who you talked to yesterday. She knows you owe money to a merchant in Samarkand. You realize her spy network isn't just in the court, it's in your head. The paranoia is a weapon, and it's about to be used, not just to scare ministers, but to destroy lives. The paranoia in Karakoram is a cold, dry wind that blows through every yurt. You're watching the capital, and it's not a city of joy anymore. It's a nest of spies. Fatima, your chief of staff, has eyes and ears everywhere. Her loyalty to you is absolute, and her methods are creative. The old guard, the Mongol generals, the Noyan, are the most dangerous. They still see you as the Naiman captive, the junior wife, the Christian. They see Fatima as a Persian witch. They mutter in their cups. They tell old war stories, reminiscing about the good old days under Genghis or Ögedei, a time when men were men and the laws were respected. You, as Töregene, cannot tolerate this. A disloyal thought is a seed. A disloyal word is a root. A disloyal look is a branch that must be pruned. You can't arrest them for treason. That's a political charge. It requires a trial. It's messy. It gives their powerful families a chance to object. And what is treason anyway? Is it treason to say, I preferred the old boss? No. You need something better. You need something that is non-negotiable, indefensible, and spiritually terrifying. You need black magic. One day you see a commotion near the Imperial Center. A squad of your personal keshig, your bodyguards who answer only to you, are dragging a man from his yurt. You're shocked. This isn't some drunken merchant. This is a general, a decorated hero, a man with a face like cracked granite, a man who rode with Ögedei, a man who has a right to be at court. His name is, let's call him Orda, and he made one fatal mistake. A few nights ago, at one of your drunken mandatory feasts, he made a joke. He saw Fatima walk by and he muttered to his neighbor, "The regent's pet crow is flying late tonight." The neighbor laughed. Fatima did not. And now Orda is not being arrested for insulting a court official. Mainstream fact. He is being arrested on a charge of sorcery, a capital crime under the Yasa and the most feared accusation in the Mongol world. The specific charge? He has been accused of using Yad magic to cause sickness. Quirky tidbit. The Mongol belief in Yad was profound and specific. It was a form of sympathetic magic. Sorcerers, it was believed, could use special carved stones, chants, or effigies, little dolls, to cause physical harm from a distance. They could conjure storms, dry up a rival's herds, or most commonly, inflict a wasting sickness on a person. The accusation is whispered with real, tangible fear. Orda, the general, in his jealousy, made an effigy of Fatima. Or worse, he made one of you. Or worse, he is the reason your son Gyuk is so sick. He is magically prolonging the illness to destroy the empire. It's an accusation he cannot possibly defend. How do you prove you didn't make a little doll in your yurt? How do you prove your bad thoughts didn't cause the regent's favorite horse to go lame? Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether these sorcery accusations were cynical political tools or reflections of a genuine, pervasive belief in a magical worldview. The answer, of course, is both. For you, as Töregene, it is a spectacularly effective political tool. For the rest of the court, it is real. They believe this. And they are terrified. You watch the trial. It's not a trial. Orda is stripped to his waist, his hands bound. He is brought before a boki, a shaman, one who just happens to be on Fatima's payroll. The shaman chants, burns bones, and inspects the cracks. He falls into a trance, and when he rises, his eyes wide, he points at Orda. He is polluted, the shaman screams. He has a dark spirit. That's it. It's a death sentence. The general, the war hero, is silent. He knows the rules. He will be executed in the traditional way for a noble, bloodlessly. He will be wrapped in a thick felt carpet, the same kind of carpet that lines his yurt, and a dozen horses will be ridden over him until his bones are dust. He will die without a drop of his noble blood touching the sacred earth. The message is sent. The old guard is silent. They don't just fear you now. They don't just fear Fatima. They fear your gods, your spirits, your magic. You have just defeated a war hero with a whisper. This, you realize, is the dark side of your rule. It's not just a political purge, it's a witch hunt. And you are the one holding the torch. You've been in the paranoia of Karakoram for a while now. You've seen the purges, you've watched the rise of Fatima. You've felt the cold spiritual dread of a nation questioning its own laws. It's 1245. You've been ruling this way for 4 straight years. It's easy to start to believe that this bubble is the entire world. But it's not. Thousands of miles away on the other side of the planet, there is a continent that is living in mortal terror. You know it as Europe, and they know you as the Tatars, a name they've mixed up with Tartarus, the classical word for hell, because to them, you are the horsemen of the apocalypse. You have to understand their perspective. In 1241, your armies, led by Batu and the other princes, smashed Poland and Hungary to dust. They annihilated the most powerful knights in Christendom at the Battle of Legnica. They were on the doorstep of Vienna. The Holy Roman Emperor was panicking. The Pope was calling for a new crusade. And then in the winter of 1241, the Mongols just stopped. They turned around and went home. Europe has spent the last 4 years in a state of traumatized confusion. They have no idea why you left. They don't know your husband drank himself to death. They don't know about the Kurultai. They don't know about you. They only know that the demons went away, but they could come back at any second. The Pope, Innocent IV, decides he needs answers. He has 2 goals. First, to find out what you are, what you want, and if you're coming back. Second, and this is a classic read, the room failure, he wants to convert you. He wants the great Khan to stop being a pagan and become a good Catholic. So, he sends a letter. Actually, 2. Mainstream fact. He drafts 2 papal bulls, De Patris Immensa and Cum Non Solum. One is a polite, long-winded explanation of the Catholic faith. The other is a blunt, almost suicidal message that basically says, "We are shocked at your, great slaughter of the human race. Please repent and stop." And who do you send on this impossible 6,000-mile diplomatic mission into the heart of hell? Not a knight, not a prince. You send a 60-year-old, overweight, asthmatic Italian monk. His name is Giovanni da Pian del Carpine, or John of Plano Carpini. He is a Franciscan, a follower of Saint Francis, which means his entire life is about poverty, humility, and peace. He is, in every conceivable way, the worst possible candidate for this journey, and he is about to become your most important witness. You see the world through his eyes. He sets out in 1245, a little robed man with a letter from the Pope, and he just walks east. He crosses into Batu's territory, the land of the Golden Horde, and he is immediately, profoundly terrified. Quirky tidbit. Before he is even allowed to speak to a minor Mongol general, Carpini and his companions are forced to be purified. He describes being led, bewildered, between 2 massive roaring fires. All of his belongings, including the Pope's precious letters, are passed over the flames. This, he is told, is to remove any evil spirits or black magic he might be carrying, and to purify him before he can approach a descendant of Genghis Khan. To Carpini, a man who fights demons, this is a satanic ritual. He's convinced he's just been made complicit in devil worship. But he survives. He's terrified. He's starving. He's sick. But he is a fantastic note-taker. He is the first European to ride the Yam. He has passed from station to station, his body battered by the relentless 20-hour-a-day rides. He writes about the Mongols with a mix of horror and grudging admiration. He notes their hardiness, their loyalty, their absolute obedience. He also notes that they eat lice, mice, and anything else they can find, and that their marriage customs are, to his pious eyes, an abomination. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue how much of Carpini's Historia Mongolorum, History of the Mongols, is objective ethnography versus a monster manual for his European audience. He describes the Tatars as having short legs, wide-set eyes, and strange, high-pitched voices. But his military analysis is brutally sharp. He is the first to tell Europe, do not fight them one-on-one. Their arrows are better than yours. They are not brave in close combat. They are clever. They will pretend to retreat and you will follow them and you will die. He travels for over a year. He crosses the continent. And he finally arrives at the imperial camp near Karakoram in the summer of 1246. He has, by the most ridiculous cosmic coincidence, arrived at the exact moment you finally decided to pull the trigger. After 5 years of delays, the sicknesses are over. The guests have been summoned. He has not walked into a random camp. He has walked wide-eyed and terrified into the middle of the Kurultai. He is the only European who will see it. And he is about to see you. You are standing in the middle of the largest, most extravagant, and most terrifying party on earth. The Kurultai of 1246 has finally been called. After 5 years of your delays, of sick princes and gout-ridden khans, the bluff has been called. The election will happen. You are Giovanni da Pian del Carpine, the 60-year-old Italian monk, and you are just trying not to be stepped on. You are wandering through an ocean of 4,000 envoys, princes, kings, and generals, all of whom have been summoned to this plain near Karakoram. You see Russian Grand Dukes, Georgian kings, the Sultan of Rum, ambassadors from the Caliph of Baghdad, and 1,000 other minor rulers, all of whom have come to pay their respects and, let's be honest, to beg. The sheer decadent scale of it all is a weapon. This isn't just an election, it's a shock and awe campaign. You, Töregene, have designed this to show the world that the 5-year gap wasn't a crisis, it was a preparation. But as you, a fly on the wall, move from the glittering public tents to the private, smoky yurts where the real business is happening, you hear the real conversation. It's not about the lavish feasts. It's not about the endless rivers of Arag, fermented mare's milk. It's about her. They're all talking about Fatima. For 5 years, Fatima has been your enforcer, your gatekeeper, your shield. She has run the spy network. She has organized the purges. She has with you wielded the power of life and death over the entire imperial court. And now all the chickens are coming home to roost. The Chagatai princes are here. The generals who despised your purges are here. The old guard traditionalists who believe you have spat on the Yasa are here. Even Batu. Well, Batu isn't here. He sent his brothers, his representatives, but he, the senior prince, has snubbed you one last time. He's still sick. But his men are here and their voices are the loudest. They are all united for the first time in 5 years by a single, common, venomous hatred. They hate you, Töregene, but you are the mother of the Khan Tobi, Guyuk. You are, for a moment, untouchable. But Fatima is a captive, a slave, a foreigner. She is the perfect scapegoat, mainstream fact. The whispers that have been circulating in Karakorum now become a public roar. The primary source for this, the Persian historian Juvaini, who was, it must be said, working for your enemies, gleefully records the accusations. They say Fatima is a witch, a sorceress. They bring up the black magic purges she and Töregene ran, and they flip the script, scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the accusations against Fatima were a cynical political smear or a genuine cultural clash. Juvaini, who detested her, paints her as a manipulative, power-mad mystic. Was she just a competent female administrator in a world of misogynistic warlords? Or was she, as a Muslim mystic, perhaps Sufi, engaging in spiritual practices, dream interpretations, ecstatic trances, healing rituals, that the Mongol traditionalists, with their shamanistic worldview, literally interpreted as black magic? It doesn't matter. The rumors are lethal. The most specific and most dangerous rumor is this. Guyuk, your son, the man who is about to be elected Great Khan, is still sick. He's home, yes, but he's frail. He's not the robust warrior who left. He suffers from a wasting sickness. And whose fault is that? The generals look at each other. They point to Khatun, one of Ögedei's other sons, who has a similar persistent illness, and then they point at Fatima. Quirky tidbit. The accusation, in its final horrific form, is one of sorcery by effigy. The generals and princes formally accuse Fatima of having made a magical doll of Prince Khatun and driven needles into it to cause his illness. It's the exact same charge you and she used to purge your rivals. The Yasa is a sharp blade and it's just been turned back on you. You are watching this from your tent. The election of your son is at hand, but it's coming with a price. The Mongol aristocracy, the men with the swords, have made their terms clear. They will acclaim Guyuk. They will accept the past 5 years, but they demand a blood sacrifice. They are demanding your best friend. They want the un-Mongol witch. They want Fatima. You're standing on the edge of the Kurultai, just outside the main circle of gold and silk pavilions. The noise of the feasting and the music is a dull roar. But out here, in the service entrance of the Empire, a different story is being told. You're not with the princes or the ambassadors. You're with the quartermasters, the Yam station managers, the local governors of the Orkhon Valley, the people who had to make this party happen. And they are exhausted. They are broke. And they are terrified. This is the true unraveling. It's not a dramatic civil war, not yet. It's an administrative, economic, and spiritual collapse, hidden just beneath the silk banners. For 5 years, you've watched Töregene rule with a checkbook and a pesa. And now, standing here, you can finally see the bill. Mainstream fact. The sheer, Abusive overuse of the YAM system under Töregene's ad hoc administration had begun to destroy it from within. The YAM, remember, was the empire's nervous system, but it wasn't free. The local people at each relay station were legally required to provide the horses, the food, and the fodder for the official messengers. Under Genghis and Ögedei, this was tightly controlled. But under you, Töregene, everyone has a paisa. Abdalrahman's tax collectors, Fatima's spies, your personal wine merchants, they are all official envoys, riding the YAM for free, demanding the best horses, eating the locals out of house and home, and treating the station masters like servants. The system is collapsing. The station masters are bankrupt. The horses are thin and overworked. The internet of the 13th century is now slow, unreliable, and deeply, deeply resented. And then there's the money. You look at the local governors who have been hosting this Kurultai. They are pale. They tell you that Abdalrahman's tax farming has bled their provinces dry. North China, in particular, is in a state of quiet, desperate famine. The tax farmers didn't just take their cut. They took everything. They took the seed grain for next year's crop. They took the breeding stock. Quirky tidbit. A common complaint recorded in Chinese sources from this era is that the tax collectors were so brutal. They were literally taxing the air and the dirt. This Kurultai, this glittering spectacle of 4,000 envoys, is a party being thrown on a maxed-out credit card. And the person who holds the debt is the common farmer, the merchant, the artisan. You realize that Töregene's genius for finance was just liquidation. She didn't run the empire for 5 years. She sold it off, piece by piece, to fund her regency. She kept the title of Great Regent by sacrificing the body of the empire. And what about the law? The Yasa? It's gone. Not in spirit, in practice. The Yasa was supposed to be the one unifying code. Now there are three. There is the Yasa of the traditionalists, the one Badu Khan is supposedly following in his tent on the Volga. There is the law of the Chagatides, who are interpreting the Yasa to mean Töregene is an illegal heretic. And then there is the law of Karakorum, which for 5 years has been whatever Fatima and Töregene say it is. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the Mongol Empire was ever a unified state to begin with, or if Töregene's regency simply exposed the cracks that were always there. Was she a bad ruler who broke a perfect system? Or was this just the inevitable chaotic growing pain of a brand new empire? This Kurultai is the perfect proof. It's not a meeting of a unified government. It's a family reunion where all the most powerful relatives have brought their own lawyers and they all hate each other. Batu, the most powerful prince, didn't even show up. That's not a disagreement. That's a schism. He has effectively declared, "You can have your party. I'll be over here, running my own country." The empire you're looking at is not the world's largest contiguous empire. It's a brand name, a franchise, and the local managers are starting to go into business for themselves. Töregene's 5-year reign, her desperate, brilliant, and utterly unsustainable attempt to hold the center, has had the opposite effect. It has proven, once and for all, that the center is hollow. The empire is unraveled. It has fragmented into a collection of powerful, resentful, and increasingly independent factions. And it is this broken, bankrupt, and divided inheritance that you are about to hand to your son. Guyuk, you are in the eye of the storm. The Kurultai of 1246 is raging around you. It's a city of 4,000 envoys, a sea of silk, gold, and nervous sweat. You've seen the underlying rot. You've seen the system collapsing from the YAM stations outward. And you've heard the whispers. The whispers against Fatima have become a formal, deafening roar from the assembled aristocracy. The Chagatai princes and Batu's representatives are all in agreement. They will not be ruled by a Persian witch. You, as Töregene, are in your imperial yurt. The party is for them. This is for you. This is the moment your 5-year gamble comes due. You look at the math. For 5 years, you've played the 6-on card. For 5 years, you've used Guyuk's illness as a shield to hide behind. A legal loophole that let you become the most powerful woman in the world. But now it's not a game anymore. The shield is becoming a 500-pound weight. Why did you call the Kurultai? Why now? After all this time, why give up the power? Because you finally had to admit a terrible, non-negotiable truth. Your son Guyuk is, in fact, sick. He's not politically sick anymore. He's not conveniently ill with a case of avoiding batuitis. Mainstream fact. Guyuk was genuinely and chronically ill, suffering from what contemporaries described as a wasting sickness. He was, like his father Ögedei, a notorious and crippling alcoholic. The combination of rampant alcoholism and what was likely severe rheumatism had left him physically wrecked. He was in his late 30s, and he was, by all accounts, a frail, irritable, and decaying man. You are a mother. You are also the most pragmatic political operator on the planet, and you have realized that your heir is a deteriorating asset. Your entire 5-year regency was a brilliantly played stall, designed to wait out your enemies and secure the throne for your son. But now you realize with dawning horror, if you stall for one more year, Guyuk might be dead. And if Guyuk dies before he is Khan, you are not a regent. You are not the respected Khan's mother. You are the Naiman woman who illegally seized the throne, bankrupted the state, purged the aristocracy, and failed. You and your other sons, and Fatima and Abdul Rahman, your entire team of outsiders, will be rounded up and wrapped in felt. The Chagataids and the Golden Horde will divide the empire, and the last 5 years of your life will have been for nothing. It is the ultimate use it or lose it moment. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's decision to finally summon Guyuk was a calculated political move or a sheer panicked reaction to his failing health. Did she finally forge an alliance with the other princes? Or did she just look at her son, see his trembling hands and sallow skin, and realize the clock had run out? It was, as always, both. The pressure from the outside, the unraveled empire, the rebellious princes, was now equaled by the pressure from the inside. Your son was dying. It was now or never. So in 1245, you sent the real message. No more games. You sent the riders on the Yam system. You sent your most trusted Paisa-wearing envoys. And the message was not a request. It was a summons. You summoned Guyuk. Come home. Now. The election is happening. And you summoned everyone else. You sent a Yarlik to Batu, a masterpiece of passive-aggressive diplomacy. My dearest nephew, the Kurultai will be held on this date. We have waited 5 long years for your health and my son's to recover. My son, in his heroic devotion, is making the journey, despite his frailty. Surely, you will not deny the empire its lawful ruler any longer. Batu, in his final, glorious act of defiance, did deny it. He sent back a message. My gout is still terrible. My legs, I just can't. But I will send my brothers to vote in my place. Please go ahead without me. I'm sure it will be fine. It was the 13th century equivalent of an I can't, I'm washing my hair text. He was, in effect, boycotting the election, ensuring he would never have to personally bow to Guyuk. But everyone else came, and Guyuk came. Quirky tidbit. Guyuk was known even by his admirers for having an almost comically abrasive and arrogant personality. He had his mother's paranoia, his father's alcoholism, and none of their charm. He is pale, sickly, and snapping at his attendants. You watch him, your son. This is it. Your creation. You, Töregene, have gathered the entire world, by sheer force of will, to this plane. You have held a fragmenting empire together with nothing but bribery, terror, and red tape. And now, you are handing the keys to this broken, bankrupt, paranoid kingdom to him. The recall of Guyuk wasn't a recall. It was a desperate last-minute Allen bet. You've just pushed your entire stack of chips, the entire wealth of the empire, into the middle of the table. And you're praying that this sick, arrogant man can win the last hand. You are here. After a 6,000-mile journey, you are Giovanni da Pian del Carpin, the 60-year-old monk, and you have just walked into the center of the world. Or, as it feels to you, the center of a very loud, very drunk, and very, very confusing parallel universe. The date is August 24th, 1246. This is the Kurultai. This is the party. You're standing on a vast grassy plain called the Steppe of the Golden Basin, a few days' ride from the capital, Karakorum. The city itself wasn't big enough to hold this. You are in a temporary metropolis built of nothing but silk and felt, a city that has sprung up for this one event only to be torn down weeks later. There are, by your count, 4,000 envoys and foreign potentates. You are just one of them. You see the Grand Duke of Russia, Yaroslav, who looks terrified. You see the King of Georgia, the Seljuk Sultan of Rum, ambassadors from the Caliph of Baghdad, a dozen Chinese princes. Everyone who has a border with the Mongol Empire is here, and that, you realize, is everyone. They are here to do one thing, to bow. This is the event you, as Töregene, have been planning, and bankrupting the empire for the last 5 years. It is a masterpiece of political stagecraft. It's designed to do one thing: awe. It is a physical manifestation of your power, a way of showing these 4,000 trembling envoys that the empire is not, in fact, a fragmented, bankrupt, paranoid mess. It is, but look at the silks. Mainstream fact. The Kurultai was the only legal and sacred way to make a new great Khan. The Yasa was clear. All princes of the blood, or their senior representatives, had to gather. They would feast, they would debate, in theory, and they would give their formal assent. This acclamation was the key. Without it, Guyuk would just be a general. With it, he would be the master of the world. This is what all the fighting, all the sickness, all the delays have been about. But you, Carpine, are a simple monk. You're not impressed by the politics. You are just baffled by the logistics. Quirky tidbit. You write in your journal, with the stunned precision of a man who is seeing the impossible, about the sheer scale of the food and drink. You note, with a mix of awe and disgust, that for the 4 straight days of the main feast, the 4,000 envoys are given meat and drink without measure. You see carts, hundreds of carts, piled high with roasted mutton and beef. But it's the drink that breaks your brain. There are rivers of it. Arag, fermented mare's milk, rice wine from China, honey mead from Russia, and a red wine from the grapes of Persia. This one you actually like. It is, by your estimation, the single largest and most expensive open bar in human history. And it's all served in, well, you don't even know what to call it. It's a tent. But that's like calling a cathedral a shed. This entire party, this staggering display of profligacy, is Töregene's final move. She has taken all the money that Abd al-Rahman squeezed out of the Chinese peasants, all the gold from the Persian mines, all the furs from the Russian forests, and she is drinking it. She is showing the world, in the most blatant way possible, we are so rich, we can afford to waste this much. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the Kurultai of 1246 was a genuine election or a meticulously staged coronation. Was there any real chance that the princes would stand up and say no? Not a chance. Batu, the only man who could have, had already boycotted the event, which was his way of saying, "This is a sham, but I can't be bothered to stop it." The Chagatides were here, but they weren't here to vote. They were here to make a deal. Their acclamation for Guyuk in exchange for Fatima's head. You, Töregene, are the producer of this insane, expensive, continent-sized play. You've gathered the cast, you've built the set, you've paid off the critics. And now it's time for the main event. It's time to show them the tent. You're being herded. You, Giovanni da Pian del Carpini, the Pope's man, are just one of 4,000 confused, sweaty, and very important people being organized by shouting Mongol guards. You've been at the party for days, eating the endless mutton, drinking the strange sour arag, but now the main event is happening. You are being moved from the general feasting area toward the imperial center, the heart of the Kurultai. And then you see it. It's a tent. But that is not the right word. You don't have a word for this. The only word that comes to your mind is blasphemy. It's enormous. It is a building, a pavilion, a cathedral made of cloth. Mainstream fact. The sources, including Carpine himself, call this the Sira Orda, which translates to the Golden Pavilion or Golden Horde. The word Ordu, meaning camp or palace tent, is the root of our word horde. It is so vast that Carpine, your eyewitness, calculates it is large enough to hold more than 2,000 people. He's probably underestimating. It's not just big, it is golden. The entire thing is draped in a cloth of pure, brilliant gold thread, so bright in the steppe sunlight that you have to squint. It's an act of such profound, arrogant waste that your Franciscan soul, which is dedicated to poverty, just short-circuits. You can't process it. But the real masterpiece isn't the outside, it's the support. The tent doesn't have a central pole like a normal yurt. That would be too common. Quirky tidbit. This tent, Carpine writes, is so large that its golden cloth roof is held up by pillars covered with gold leaf. These aren't just poles, they are massive, carved wooden columns, like the nave of a European church, all covered in precious metal, all inside a structure that is, by definition, temporary. They built a forest of gold just for this week. You are pushed inside, and the scene is a living, breathing painting of organized chaos. The air is hot. It smells of unwashed fur, spilled wine, incense, and the body odor of 4,000 nervous sweating warlords. In the center of this vast pavilion, you see it, the throne. It's not on the floor. It's on a massive elevated wooden platform, a dais, which Carpine describes as a stage. It's covered in silk, and the throne itself is made of, well, you're not sure. Carpine says it's carved from ivory with incredible skill. On it sit Guyuk and his mother, Töregene, or at least they will. The seating is a matter of ironclad protocol. The Yasa is at play here. The sources say the men, the princes of the blood, the generals, sit to the left of the throne, the men's side, the side of honor. The women, the queens, the princesses, Töregene and her court, sit to the right. But before you get to the throne, you have to get past the bar. And the bar is a masterpiece of engineering. At the entrance to this golden tent, Carpine notes, there are 4 massive vats. They are dispensing the drinks. And in front of them is an elaborate fountain, a silver tree with mechanical animals, a lion, a serpent, that spits the drinks into the cups of the guests. It's a piece of high art, automated plumbing, designed for one purpose, to get thousands of people drunk faster. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the silver fountain tree described by later visitors to Karakoram was already present at this Kurultai, or if Carpine was seeing a simpler, but no less impressive, setup. Was this a mechanical marvel from a captured French artisan, or just a very, very fancy set of barrels? You don't care. You're just a monk, and you are trying not to be crushed. The 4,000 envoys are all pressing forward. Why? Because this is not just an election. It's a gift-giving ceremony. It's the most high-stakes secret Santa in history. The envoys, the Russian dukes, the Georgian kings, are all required to present their gifts to the new Khan. You watch as a Russian duke presents a train of camels laden with sable, the most precious black fur in the world. The caliph's ambassador presents silks and chests of gold. This is the price of admission. You, Carpine, suddenly feel very foolish. You have a letter from the Pope. You have no gold. You have no sable. You have your credentials. You have, in this world of unimaginable, brutal wealth, nothing. You are standing in this tent, this golden, impossible building built for a week. You are surrounded by the 4,000 most powerful, most frightened, and most heavily armed people on Earth. You are watching them give away tons of treasure, just for the hope that the new Khan will not annihilate them. And in the center of it all, on that platform, you see her, Töregene. She's not on the throne itself. That would be illegal, but she is next to it. This is her show, this is her production. She is the producer, the director, and the star, and this golden tent is her stage. She has bankrupted a continent to build this room, just to prove that she could. The noise in the golden tent is deafening. The 4,000 envoys, princes, and generals are all packed into this vast, glittering space, and the air is so thick with heat and the smell of wine you could swim through it. You are Giovanni da Pian del Carpine, and you are trying to stay on your feet, clutching your letters from the Pope, which suddenly feel very small. The feasting has paused. The river of Irag has slowed to a trickle. A tense, expectant silence is falling. a silence so heavy it's louder than the party was. You are watching the dais. Guyuk is there. He's seated on the ivory throne. He looks awful. He's pale, his eyes are puffy, and he seems to be in a state of profound, irritable pain. This is the hero of the West, the man who is about to rule the world. He looks like he needs a nap and a very large glass of water. And next to him, not on the throne but next to it, is Töregene. She is the center of all energy in this tent. She is not smiling. She is not feasting. She is a statue of pure, focused will. Her face is an unreadable mask. She has gambled the world, and this is the roll of the dice. The senior princes, the sons of Ögedei, the brothers of Batu, move to the front. This is it. This is the election. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue if this moment was in any way an election, or if it was the most expensive, most terrifying rubber stamp in history. The real decision, was made in the backroom yurts. The deal was struck. The Ögedei princes and Batu's brothers agreed to give their acclamation. The price? You can guess. It was Fatima. They would give Töregene her son, the Khan, if she would give them the witch. And now you're just watching the play. A Noyan, a master of ceremonies, steps forward. He is holding a nine-tailed banner, the Tuff, the spirit banner of the Mongol army. He begins to chant, a long, guttural recitation of Guyuk's lineage, tracing him back to Ögedei, back to the world conqueror, the divine Genghis. Mainstream fact. On August 24th, 1246, the acclamation is given. The princes, one by one, shout their assent. It is the law. It is the will of Tengri. They raise their hands. Guyuk is no longer just Guyuk. He is Guyuk Khan, the third great Khan of the Mongol Empire. But it's not official until the ritual. Guyuk is brought down from the throne. He is not just crowned, he is raised. This is the ancient custom of the steppe. Guyuk and his wife Ögedei are made to sit on a large square of black felt, a symbolic connection to the black earth of the homeland. The senior princes, the very men who despised him, then take the corners of this felt square, and they lift him. They lift him up, high over their heads, for the entire assembly to see, and they shout his name. Khan! 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 It is done. The 5-year gap is over. The yasa has been fulfilled. The empire has its head. And now comes the part that concerns you. The master of ceremonies turns to the 4,000 envoys. He screams an order. And as one, 4,000 of the most powerful people in the world, kings, dukes, sultans, ambassadors, prostrate themselves. Quirky tidbit. This is the kowtow, a ritual of submission, and the Mongols had adopted it for their supreme ruler. They don't just bow. They go to their knees and press their foreheads to the ground, not once, but 3 times. You are watching the King of Georgia and the Grand Duke of Russia, Yaroslav, 2 of the most powerful Christian rulers in the East, literally rubbing their faces in the dirt before a man they consider a pagan demon. And then the guards look at you, Karpin. They're shouting, "Bow, bow," to the divine Khan. And you? Don't. You can't. You are a Franciscan. You represent the Pope, the Vicar of Christ. You will not perform a ritual of submission that to you is an act of idolatry. You stand there, a small, stubborn, 60-year-old man in a wool robe, in a sea of prostrated kings. The guards start to get rough. They grab you shouting. Your translator is babbling. He says he only bows to his God. It's a moment of pure, terrifying diplomatic chaos. You are about to be executed on day 1 of the new reign for bad manners. But Guyuk from the throne simply waves a hand. He's too sick, too drunk, or just too arrogant to care about one weird old man. The guards shove you aside, disgusted. You have survived. And you have just seen Töregene, in the middle of this chaos as her son is being raised, as the world is bowing to him. Her face, for 1 second, moves. It's not a smile. It's a release. It is the look of a person who has been holding their breath for 5 solid years. She did it. The Naiman captive, the junior wife. She defied the law, she bankrupted the state, she purged her enemies, and she ruled the world, and she just handed it broken but whole to her son. It is the single greatest act of political survival and maternal devotion in 1,000 years. Her plan, her insane, impossible plan, has succeeded. The party is over. The golden tent is being dismantled. The 4,000 envoys are nursing continent-sized hangovers, and they are beginning the long, dusty ride home, clutching their new official yarliks from the new great Khan Guyuk. You, Giovanni da Pian del Carpine, are one of them. You've been given a letter from Guyuk back to the Pope. It's not the friendly conversion letter the Pope was hoping for. It's an ultimatum. It's a classic arrogant Mongol reply that basically says, "How dare you? You must come here with all your kings and bow to me. If you do not, we will consider you an enemy." And you know what we do to enemies. You're carrying the most terrifying RSVP in history. But as you leave Karakorum, you look back at the imperial yurt, and you wonder, what about her? What about the producer? What about Töregene? This should be her victory lap. She is the Dowager Khatun, the Queen Mother. She has just successfully executed the most audacious political maneuver in history. She has placed her son on the throne of the world. By all rights, she should now be the most revered, most powerful, and most secure woman on earth. She should be retiring to a life of unimaginable luxury and influence. You can picture her in her own yurt, finally taking a deep breath. Her work is done. Her son is safe. But the Yasa is a cold and brutal law, and the Mongol court is not a place for happy retirements. You are Töregene. You are in your yurt, and you are nervous. Your son, Guyuk, is now the great Khan, and he is not returning your messages. He's not a prince anymore. He's the Khan. And he is a sick, paranoid, and deeply insecure man who has just inherited a bankrupt, fragmented empire that has been run for 5 years by his mom. And everyone knows it. He doesn't just need to rule, he needs to erase the last 5 years. He needs to prove to the Chagatides, to Batu's brothers, and to the old guard generals that the circus is over. He needs to prove he is not his mother's puppet. He needs to become a Mongol Khan, not a Töregene Khan. And to do that, he has to destroy everything you built. His first act as Great Khan is not to plan a campaign. It's not to reform the Yam. It's to clean house. Mainstream fact. Guyuk's very first order is the arrest of Fatima, the woman who was your best friend, your enforcer, your shield, the woman who was, for 5 years, the second most powerful person in the world. The deal that was struck in the backroom yurts has come due. The Chagatide princes, the ones who formerly accused her of witchcraft, are now Guyuk's allies. They try her for sorcery, for the Yad magic, for the effigies. And of course, they find her guilty. You are Töregene. You beg for her life. You rage. You remind Guyuk that this woman is the reason he is on that throne, that she was loyal when no one else was. And Guyuk, your son, the great Khan, turns his back on you. Fatima is executed, and she is executed in the most brutal, traditional, and symbolic way possible. Quirky tidbit. The chronicles are grimly specific. To avoid spilling her blood on the sacred earth, she is wrapped in felt, just like your other purged enemies. But some sources add a more horrific detail. All of her bodily orifices are sewn shut, and she is thrown into a river to drown. It is an execution designed to be a spectacle, a statement. The witch is gone. The foreigners are out. The Yasa is back, but he's not done. Next, Abdul Rahman, your tax farmer, your CFO. He is arrested for corruption. His brutal tax farming, which you authorized, is now a crime against the state. He too is executed. And then, in the most cutting, personal, and devastating move of all, Guyuk rehears the men you fired. He summons Ögedei's old legitimate ministers, the ones who despised you. He brings back Chinkai, the very man you and Fatima accused of sorcery, and makes him his chief minister. He is not just cleaning house. He is fumigating it. He is systematically killing or firing your entire team, your friends, your administration, and replacing them with your enemies. You are left in your yurt, alone. The stream of visitors has stopped. The guards at your door are no longer your guards. They are Guyuk's. You are no longer the great regent. You are a liability. A very, very rich and very, very embarrassing old woman. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether Töregene's death, which happens very shortly after this, was natural or not. The sources say she died just a few months after Guyuk's coronation, sometime in 1247. Was it a broken heart? Was it grief? Did she, the survivor of 40 years of brutal court politics, simply give up? Or did your son, the paranoid, frail, alcoholic Khan, realize that his mother was the one person who truly knew how he got that throne? That you were the living embodiment of his illegitimate 5-year regency? That as long as you were alive, you were a threat? No one knows. There was no investigation. There was no funeral. The woman who ruled the world, the Naiman captive who seized a continent, just disappears. She dies in her tent, alone, abandoned by the very son she lived for, and she is gone. You are standing in the middle of a vast, wind-swept plain. The golden tent is gone. The 4,000 envoys are gone. The city of Karakoram in the distance is quiet. And Töregene, the woman who was the magnetic center of this entire world, is gone. Not just dead, but gone. Her yurt is empty. Her name is no longer spoken except in a whisper. As a curse, you'd think the story would end with her son Guyuk, the man she sacrificed everything for. But history, especially Mongol history, is a brutal and efficient editor. Mainstream fact. Guyuk's reign is one of the shortest and most disastrous in Mongol history. He is the great Khan, yes, but he is a sick, paranoid, and profoundly incompetent one. His first and only major act is to try and finish the fight his mother started. He picks a final, fatal quarrel with the one man he should have left alone, Batu Khan. In 1248, Guyuk raises a massive army and begins marching west, under the flimsy pretext of visiting his lands. Everyone knows what it is, a declaration of civil war, but he never gets there. He dies on the march in what you would call Samarkand. He is not yet 43 years old. The official cause is his wasting sickness and his raging alcoholism. But the whispers, as they always do, say it was poison. A get-well-soon card sent from Batu's agents. And with his death, the entire line of Ögedei, the line you, as Töregene, fought, bled, and died for, is now finished. The throne is empty again. But this time there is no Töregene to seize it. There is only a power vacuum, and the rivals you held at bay for 5 years are no longer patient. This is the moment of the Toluids, the sons of Genghis's fourth son, Tolui. The princes, led by a man named Munka, who have been watching, waiting, and hating your family for a generation. They call their own Kurultai. It's a sham. The families of Ögedei and Chagatai refuse to attend, calling it illegal. The Toluids don't care. They have the bigger army. And in 1251, they elect their man, Munka Khan, as the new Great Khan. And his first act is the final erasure. He doesn't just purge your supporters, he launches a genocide against them. He rounds up 77 of the highest-ranking princes and commanders from Ögedei line and executes them all. He destroys your family, root and branch. He seizes their lands, their herds, their ordus. The house of Ögedei is wiped from the map. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether this was a coup d'etat or a legitimate, if brutal, transfer of power. Was it a legal election? Or was it just a civil war that the Toluids won decisively? Either way, the imperial seal now belongs to a new family, and this new family needs a new history. They need to justify what they've just done. They need to prove that their coup wasn't a coup. They need to prove that the last administration, the one they just murdered, was so terrible, so illegal, and so un-Mongol that it had to be replaced. And this is how you are erased. The new court historian, the man who will write the official story, is a Persian named Atamalik Juvayni. His boss, Munka Khan, the man who just wiped out your family. And so Juvayni writes your story. And it is a story of a monster. Quirky tidbit. Juvayni's History of the World Conqueror is our primary source, and he describes your 5-year reign as an interregnum, a time of chaos, a period of no-kun. He paints you, Töregene, as a manipulative, greedy, and perverse woman. He paints your best friend Fatima as a literal sorceress, a demon who casts spells. He paints your administration as a dark, foreign, and corrupt nightmare. He invents the forgotten archive. He writes you out of history by writing you in as a villain. You are no longer the Naiman captive who ruled the world. You are the infamous woman who almost destroyed it. Your 5 years of brilliant, desperate, high-stakes survival are reduced to a cautionary tale. A black gap between two legitimate male rulers. This is the second death, and it's the one that lasts. Your enemies didn't just kill your son. They didn't just kill your allies. They killed your memory, and they did it so well that you are now just a name in the archives, a footnote in the story of the men who came after. 300-word wind down. And so, the noise of the Kurultai fades completely. The golden tent, the shouting generals, the terrified monk. They all dissolve back into the dust of the steppe. The wind blowing across that high, lonely plain whispers no names. It doesn't remember the woman who seized the imperial seal, nor the historians who wrote her out of the story. The archive is closed. You can feel the story letting you go, the edges of the 13th century softening. The harsh light of the steppe sun gives way to the gentle, soft darkness of your own room. The smell of mutton and fermented milk is gone, replaced by the simple, clean scent of your pillows. The only sound is that soft background hum, that gentle fan, pulling you back into the quiet and the now. The paranoia and the power are just shadows now, figments of a time so brutal and so very long ago. You can let them go. You can let her go. Her story is over. Her name is safe for tonight in the archive of your own quiet, drowsy mind. There is no one to purge, no throne to win. There is only the stillness of the night, the weight of your blankets, and the promise of rest. You can close your eyes. You're safe.